And welcome everybody. Everybody welcome. Welcome to especially Lord Redfang. Thank you very much, Lord Redfang. What up? What up? This week we have been at Japan. Japan. Right? I say Japan, I mean Japan, of course. And also I'm just gonna start the show. And I know these guys don't know this yet, but I'm gonna start the show with a little musical medley. And I wondered if anybody out there, Lord Redfang, or anybody in the studio can actually guess what it's referring to. Okay? So first of all, a Bay City Rollers song from the 70s. Goes like this. It goes, bye bye Perez, Perez, bye. Bye 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 Perez. And then the other one is you say hello and I say goodbye, Perez. Perez, goodbye. Perez, goodbye. There's another one for you. The long and winding Perez. That's another one for you. And I had one more, but I can't think what it is. I found Perez on Blueberry Hill, not Red Bull, but Blueberry. Okay. So there we go. That's the little medley. Guys, can anybody tell me what the common theme between those songs are?
So first of all, I changed my mic. I don't know if it's any better. I and because I was changing my mic, I missed. I just heard the bye bye Paris, bye bye bye, but I missed the second one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
that the common denominator
Let
is
me sing. Let me
is
sing the second one for you again.
yeah yeah
Max
yeah
says,
yeah
Max says hello. Perez says goodbye. There we
yeah
go.
yeah. I think the common denominator is pretty simple to figure out.
Okay, fair enough. You're actually your mic is very loud, so I'm just gonna turn you down a little bit there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I got another one while you were talking, so
okay, let me just put you down right down there. There we go. That should be good. Perez, Paris. No, it's not Paris. It's Perez, one of the drivers. It's not that I hate him. There's been a lot of controversy this week. He had another shocker of a Grand Prix at Japan. So I'm going to get into it, and I will describe in great graphic detail how Perez decided to insert his penis in the inside of a corner and take a few people out. But we'll get to that. I think mainly Albon. I think it was this week. Can't really remember, to be honest. Okay, qualifying. Max Verstappen in first place. Then amazingly, the two McLarens, Piastri beating Norris to second place. Second place, third place was of course Norris, and then I think it was the oh now what are the red cars called? Uh, yeah. Anyway, those red cars, and then various people behind them, including Hamilton, Russell, and just all sorts of garbage behind that. I mean, when I say garbage, I mean Perez, of course. Perez running Hamilton off the circuit in the first straight, even though he had no reason to do it. I mean, there was nobody on his inside. He didn't need to take a wider line. He still would have got to the corner first. He literally was just trying to stop Hamilton getting past. There we go. Anyway, Russell on the inside taking advantage of that. Fortunately, the Mercedes is built like a German tank, so no problem there. Russell Hamilton managed to carry on. In the background, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, but I guess it's again another symptomatic thing going on. Sergeant Logan Sargent, unfortunately had a collision in the first corner and was pretty much out straight away. Anyway, going through, it was, of course, Verstappen in first place, Piastri, Norris, I said, who managed to get around the outside, Piastri, then the two Ferraris, followed by Russell, Perez, Alonso, Perez, Hamilton. and that was going to be pretty much how we were going to finish. There wasn't an awful lot to this race, fortunately, I suppose. The two Alpha Tauris racing each other very hard. Liam Lawson again putting in a fine show. Stroll behind that, with a Magnussen behind, a fast charging Magnussen behind that. Unfortunately, because of the damage in the first carnage, let's just say, of everybody bashing into each other, Zhao and Albon. It was Albon getting together, of course, in the first corner. Because of that, there was lots of debris on the track, and the safety car, not the safety car, the virtual safety car was deployed. Bottas said, "I'm fucking Bottas." So that was interesting. Other than that, Sargent tried to go down the inside of Bottas. That was the one I was thinking of. Completely messed that up. There was lots of bad driving, actually. So there we go. Hamilton and Russell having a good old ding dong, and ding dong, and coming together several times. And it got a bit feisty. Like Hamilton decided to move over and teach the young rookie a bit of a lesson. Valtteri Bottas out on lap 9. His car just having too much damage. And then Magnussen getting punted off by Sergio Perez in the at the hairpin after the Degners. And I don't know what Perez was thinking. He was way back, and he literally just ran into the rear wheel of an ever-shrinking gap, which was always going to ever shrink. And this is something that I do want to discuss tonight, gentlemen, which is penalties. 5-second penalty for that? Really? Really? Okay, we will discuss it further. Meanwhile, Hamilton and Russell having a good old battle again, continuing the battle. This time it getting a bit feisty, too feisty, one would say. And Hamilton ran Russell off the track. In fact, they both went off the track. There's no way Russell was actually going to make the corner anyway. But, that just shows how hard Russell is fighting. In fact, words were to come out about that a little later. Hamilton bitterly complaining and Russell not happy about the situation. Lap 17, Verstappen pitted, back down to 5th place. Hamilton pitted, slow pit stop for Hamilton. He dropped down to 10th place. And then it was just a matter of Verstappen trying to catch back up. Russell, in the meantime, having a good old ding-dong fight with him. In the end, it wasn't really much of a pass. It was fairly easy for Verstappen, his car being that superior. What else? Then he had, Sainz, Alonso having a bit of a go at each other. Sainz drove beautifully again, I have to say, but was pretty unlucky with the pace of his car. He managed to get past Alonso quite easily. Probably the best pass of the day, for my money, was Hamilton on Alonso on down the inside of 130R. Again, spectacular place to overtake. Showed the pace of the Mercedes. And then the two McLarens having a bit of a ding dong. Even in the end, Piastri told to let Lando by. He was on much fresher rubber, so it was pretty inevitable that was going to happen anyway. Alonso having a fight with who was it? One of the Alpha Tauris, Tsunoda, and Tsunoda good defense. Eventually, though, of course, the wily Fox managed to get past again at that hairpin, which seemed to be the best places for overtaking. Best places for crashing, best places for overtaking. And hello, Captive Desk. Thank you. Thank you, mate. It's good to see you here. Thank you for the like, if you haven't done it already. And I'm hoping that you will. Yeah, and then it was a matter of another load of pit stops around lap 37, and Russell and Norris. Russell stayed out, trying to do a one-stop. Norris easily passed him when he caught him because obviously he's on fresher rubber. Same with Piastri for third place. Russell dropping like a stone. Lap 45, Leclerc went round the outside of the first corner. Brave move, always a brave move doing that, and managed to take Russell. Again, much fresher rubber, so not to be unexpected completely. Russell then found himself in front of Hamilton and in front of Sainz, and he was asking basically for to keep the positions that way till the end of the lap, bearing in mind we were only 4 laps away from the end of the race. And Mercedes had to tell him several times to let Hamilton pass in order to stop Sainz overtaking them both, because Sainz clearly had a better car. He was on 4-lap fresher rubber, and that duly happened. It was a bit of a shouting match. Russell wasn't happy. He wanted to play the same trick by keeping Lewis in his DRS, stopping, hopefully, therefore stopping Sainz getting past. But Toto, eventually having been told he wasn't at the race, but he was able to put some input, he phoned up, long distance call, and told Russell to, instructed Russell, I should say, to get out the way and let Lewis pass. And then Russell asked for Lewis to give him DRS, which he duly did, but it made no difference. The Ferrari was just too fast in terms of pace over the top of the Mercedes. So it was a question of when, not if. And in fact, the very next lap, Sainz, although they both had DRS, Sainz's Ferrari was a lot faster down the straight, and he overtook with just 3 laps to go. But unfortunately for Mercedes and Lewis, he was already too far ahead and he couldn't catch him. And that left the race result of Max Paul Verstappen first place, which we will get to. Norris in second place, an excellent Piastri third for his first podium. Leclerc fourth, Hamilton 5, Sainz in sixth, Russell seventh. Good result for Russell, who only one stopped. Alonso in eighth. Gasly and Ocon swapped on the last lap, and that's also something which Gasly was very upset about. Although Ocon had swapped because Gasly was on a preferable tyre strategy. So in some sense it was fair. Lawson beating Tsunoda just, and an excellent result for Lawson there. And then Jean in the Alfa Romeo. Hulkenberg beat Magnussen, and the rest all non-runners. That's Albon, Sargent Logan, Stroll, Perez out, and Bottas out. And that was the Japanese Grand Prix. And as a result of all of that, the Red Bull team won their 6th constructors. And guess how many points they won by? More than the number of points that Perez contributed. And that's really the news. So over to Fabio to clear up all the stuff I got wrong.
No, I mean, you got everything pretty much spot on. I just made the notes because we're going to be really efficient this evening. So, first of all, Suzuka, really demanding circuit. Really demanding circuit, especially for the drivers. They got something like 5.6 G lateral force, which is, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Another thing which I didn't expect were the amount of overtakes that took place. That is something that is not usually associated with Suzuka in the previous years, and I think that is a testament to the new rules where it's easier for the cars to follow a close distance compared to previous years. So that's always a good thing. There was a really good fight, I think, between the 5th and the 7th position, 8th position, at a certain point. So it was really good. really good. And a good thing about the rules that I really like about this year is the fact that if we take Red Bull out of the equation, we see a lot of cars that are really good in certain situations and not in certain others. Like, for example, McLaren after Silverstone. I mean, before the car was a wreck by their own admission, but after that, you could see a car which is good in certain circuits, not good in certain others. The same can be said for Ferrari, for Mercedes, and even for other teams like Alpine. So that is always an interesting thing, and I would love it to be I love when that happens because it makes for the championships not unpredictable, but really going back and forth depending on the kind of circuit, the kind of a car that they're driving. Anyway, we saw that what happened in Singapore for Red Bull was a fluke. It was my opinion is because probably because of all the bumps that they had in Singapore, so they were forced to run a higher setup, a higher car, and that showed that particular car is not working very well outside of a very low setup, where it's probably all the floor downforce is tuned in, and so I think that is the reason why in Singapore it wasn't that good. So kind of a peaky car in certain situations, but unfortunately those are not the standard situation. You don't usually find a track so bumpy like in Singapore. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if the fact that Toto Wolff was not being at the track had some consequences for the really poor tactics for Mercedes. But all things aside, Perez. Now, I'm just saying, I will just take qualifying into consideration, right? Because on the race it's a different story. The car pace is way more influential. I'll just take qualifying. So the qualifying after Miami for Perez, he got in 20th position at Monte Carlo, 11th in Spain, 12th in Canada, 15th in Austria, 16th in hold on a second, in Great Britain, 9th in Hungary, 3rd in Belgium, 7th in the Netherlands, 5th in Italy, 13th in Singapore, and 5th in Japan. That is not something that you would expect from somebody driving a car which is consistently on top level and is winning every races and is almost always at the front with the second driver. So I think Perez is totally lost. I think that he probably needs more than a coach. He needs like a shrink, because I think he has really
He has one.
really
He has one.
so it should change that.
Started before this race.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
just to say,
So
he's already had the guy for a couple of weeks now.
okay. Yeah. But better late than never. But yeah. The guy is really. I mean, so the only thing that can be said about Perez is that he's bringing.
I've got an inside scoop on this. He's already taught Perez how to cook paella properly. So there you go. I think he's setting him up for a great future.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about that. I think that. So the only redeeming quality about Perez is that he's bringing a considerable amount of money with the sponsors. So it's going to be hard for Red Bull to let him go. I think that is going
Well,
to stay for
I have
next season anyway.
I have another
But
redeeming feature, Fabio.
yeah,
Another
yeah.
redeeming feature is that he's not from South America.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
Helmut doesn't like
okay.
South American drivers. Apparently, Helmut does not like South American drivers.
No, that's
Well,
correct.
And
yeah,
Perez is not a South American driver. So that is a redeeming
yeah,
feature in some ways.
by a smidge, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think that is going to stay for next season. I mean, Red Bull has always been a one-man show, but this is getting ridiculous, even for Red Bull standards. So I think that is going to stay for next season anyway. Again, just because of the money that brings to the team. But I think that the Ricciardo Lawson attack is slowly coming through. So I don't think it's going to survive 2 years. I think it's going to survive next year, but not the second one.
Absolutely
Talking
not the second
about
one.
and yeah,
I've got
so
several
talking
things to
about
say
people.
already now. Carry on.
Yeah, just my last thing, I promise. Just talking about people which were not at the track. We talked. I said about Toto Wolff. I've got an inside scoop too. I know where Adrian Newey was this weekend, and if you can
Okay.
show
Is
either
it something
now
to? Is
or
it something
later
to
on,
do? Is it something to do with the street near you, where the trans prostitutes hang out?
no. I mean, if you can
Okay.
show the video that I linked to.
Beg your pardon. Yep. Let me just get that.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, technical things. Although the second is going to show up really soon. We're doing it, really quick. But anyway, Adrian Newey wasn't at the track this weekend, and this is where he was.
Up.
Yeah, that is Adrian Newey on his. There you go. Adrian Newey was in Italy. Actually, was in a place called Sassuolo for the Ferrari Cavalcade Classic, and he was riding his own Ferrari at 250 GT SWB short wheelbase, which is worth a lot of money. But it was having fun there while the Max Bull Red Stappen team was winning the constructor championship.
Which must be about 17, 18 world constructors' titles that Adrian Newey cars have won, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, massive. Anyway.
Okay, so a couple of things. Firstly, Liam Lawson has been signed as the test driver, the reserve driver for Red Bull next year. So if Perez were not to race for whatever reason, potentially Liam could take that position. Just saying, my prediction still has a chance of coming true. And the second thing is in free practice 1, Red Bull were testing out a B-wing. Okay, so they did do some changes to the aero to either comply or not comply with the TD39. So it's not beyond the world of reason that they weren't doing anything, but it still hasn't affected their car. So I would agree with that. Okay, over to you, Lucky. Thank you so much.
Who, me? Okay. That was unexpected.
No.
Sorry, I was completely taken by surprise there.
I don't see why, but okay.
Well, you just sort of cut that off. Just anyway.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a race. Let me start, as I usually tend to do, with La Reportage de Logan Sargent. His escapades over the weekend just kind of beggared belief. He went out for his first run in qualifying and decided he wanted to do a bit of Tokyo drifting as they were in Japan, coming out of the last corner onto the start finish straight, and completely messed that up and destroyed pretty much the left side of his car completely. Uh, Following that, the team got a penalty for a Parc Ferme indiscretion. Apparently, they played with the car when it shouldn't have been played with, which got them a 10-second penalty, plus they started from the pit lane, or he started from the pit lane. So he was in the back foot from the very start. And then, of course, on lap 7, managed to collect Bottas in a strange kind of accident. I'm not sure if Bottas should have been taking more care or what. But anyway, he collided with Bottas. He got himself a 5-second penalty for that, which was kind of ridiculous, but was out by lap 22. So it was another fucking disastrous weekend for Logan, who, like Bye Perez, I don't think will be in a Formula One seat next year.
Yeah, no, I just want to
Thank
point one
fuck
thing out.
for that.
Sergent Largant did manage. Largant Sargent did manage to come first this weekend in one way. Does anybody know?
First,
The amount of money that this team had to spend.
Yes, the crash damage.
Yeah.
The amount of money they
Yeah,
spent
there you
on
go.
him crashing
There
cars
you go.
is just top 4 million.
there
Anybody
you go.
guess? Anybody guess who's third?
Perez.
Third.
Thank you, Perez. Well
Yeah.
done.
Who
Yeah,
else?
just over 2.5 million. That's and let me just say, 2.5 million. You can get a lot of catering for that kind of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can indeed.
I was
Okay.
thinking about, when you say next year is going to be, Lawson's going to be the third driver, Paris should be really careful about catering in Red Bull, because they're really good, and, it's just a snap of the finger to give him the runs. So, yeah.
There's that, and also that's what I'm saying. Like the guy that's taken over his psychology for his race psychology has already taught him how to cook paella properly. So
Yeah.
I think he's on for a winner. That's all I'm saying. He'll be saving. In other words, what I'm saying here, he will be saving Red Bull a fortune in catering just by cooking for himself. Okay, sorry, Lucky. Go ahead.
That's quite all right. Now, I have a question for you guys. What's the normal penalty for forcing another driver off the track?
Oh, is it you have to kiss the FIA?
Well, that's possible. However, whatever the penalty was, Max Verstappen did not get that penalty for doing exactly that, putting Perez off the track. Why was he allowed to get away with that? If ever there was unsportsmanlike conduct, is that not it?
Sorry, could you just rephrase that? Do you mean Perez moving Hamilton off the track?
No. I mean Verstappen at the very start, pulling over to the right and forcing Piastri onto the grass.
Piastri. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You said
that's what I'm
Perez.
talking
I was confused. Yes.
Did I say
I mean,
Perez?
it's it's lap 1, and B, I think that these things are kind of given, really, that it can happen for the same reason that Perez, who actually made contact with Hamilton, didn't get a penalty either for doing the same thing. So,
Yeah, it's not uncommon to have a lot of leeway in the first round and the first corner. So I'm not really surprised by that or shocked by that. So yeah, that usually happens.
So there was a few tweets here from basically everybody that Perez has knocked out knocked off the track or damaged or caused them to end a race, including Science, of course. They all got together, had a chat about it, and have asked the FIA to say, or have said to the FIA, look, a 5-second penalty isn't doing anything to stop people doing this kind of driving, especially Perez. So they're asking for drive-through penalties and penalties, 5-second stop and go penalties, where you're not allowed to work on the car or 10
I,
seconds, depending on.
so I don't think that it, honestly, I don't think that is going to change anything. So it's going to move the problem. The problem is consistency. And I make a quick example, really short. Last Sunday, they had a similar situation with Moto 2 in what the fuck with the racing in India. Can't remember the name of the guy, but they had to red flag the race because there was a driver basically run into five other drivers and run them off. So they had to red flag, and the punishment for that rider was what they call a long lap penalty. So there is a section of the track where you got to take a corner in a different way, and you lose some seconds, 10, 5, depending on the track. So what I'm just saying is that it's not really the punishment; it's how you deal with it. So I don't know how much is going to change it.
Yeah, I'd like to see something like if it's deemed to be a penalty, and then this is obviously subjective depending on the FIA, but if there is a penalty for that, I would like to see any damage caused, right, to be charged to the offending team, right? And number one,
Yeah,
that would make
that
the team then say to the driver, look, we can't afford you to do this, right? Not only are you damaging your own car, we risk damaging somebody else's car and paying for that as well, right? And I think that way the team would have to then sort of start saying, okay, well, we need you to stop being so aggressive in this. And then secondly, I think that the point system on the licenses could be much more harshly involved, right? Perez got 4 points on his license. Go ahead.
no, actually, the damage part it's not that far fetched. I think it's a very good idea, provided that the damage will go on the budget cap. Because
Yeah,
if not,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
because if not,
I am
the
assuming that it will. Yeah.
yeah. So that might be something interesting. Um, I would say that the only problem I see with that is that you might see some racing that are a little bit more boring because at a certain point nobody would risk. But yeah, I think that might be a good idea just to try it out and see where it goes.
Yeah, I take that point about the racing. Also, now I've said it, I'm thinking, well, at the end of the season, what do you do if you cause somebody like £4 million worth of damage and write their car off accidentally? You know what I mean? And the FAA
Yeah.
says, well, it's your fault, so you got to pay for it. Well, that's going to put you way over the budget. So what do you do then? Then you get fined for being
Yeah.
over budget. Well, that doesn't make sense either. So yeah, no, you're right. There are more problems there. I guess it comes down to driving standards then, and whatever. Anyway, Lucky, back to you. I'm so sorry about this.
That's all right, no problem. Um, in my opinion, Verstappen's move on Piastri was a bit naughty, and that's not the sort of thing we want to be seeing in our sport. Moving on from that, Hamilton and Russell. Now, I believe that Russell was only one-stop strategy driver, runner in the race.
Yep.
Why did Mercedes get themselves into this position? Surely,
Well, Russell was kind of asking for it. He wanted to do some alternate strategy, and he felt that they could go. At one point, Lewis said, "Yeah, my tyres are good. I can go a lot longer." So they tried, and then found that actually on the hard tyres, the Mercedes didn't have such good mileage as it did on the medium tyres. So in some sense, they were just throwing the dice because, it gave them a chance to do an alt strategy, and an alt strategy can be better sometimes. But in reality, like Fabio said, I don't know what they were thinking, because it was never going to work. I mean, that's been shown several times in the last few races.
I was just thinking, another way to approach the problem would be to give less fuel for the next race for the party which is found at fault. Just give me a little bit less fuel, or one set of tires less. Just take away a set of tires.
Okay. More ideas. Well, that's what we're doing. Yeah. What we're doing is we're throwing some paella at the wall and hoping that Perez fucks off. Okay, that's basically it.
I'll be sure to call to Claudio Domenicali, at the end of this thing, just to give ideas.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It seemed to me that Russell should have realised that if he's on a different strategy, he shouldn't be racing Hamilton. But yet he seemed desperate to race Hamilton. I don't know why that mindset. I mean, he should have known that his strategy, if it was going to work, it wasn't going to work and come good until near the end of the race, when all the pit stops and things were over. But he seemed to think that he was entitled to take the position away from Hamilton, which it just doesn't seem sensible. But anyway, Hamilton put him in his place, going down into the first corner, just went cruising around the outside. And that was pretty much everything for George for the rest of the day. What else is there to talk about in the races? There wasn't really much else, was there? We've got...
not really. I mean, it was fairly straightforward.
Yeah, we've got Red Bull constructors again, as you pointed out, basically with the one-man team of Verstappen. Had Sergio Perez stayed at home this year, would anybody have noticed, apart from the people he crashed into, of course?
Yeah.
I mean, it was pointless him being there. I think we can pretty much say that next year we're going to see this new lad. What's his name? Lewis, whatever.
Lewis?
Not Lewis. What's the guy?
No.
Oh, Jesus, I've totally forgotten his name. No, the young lad, Lawson, not Lewis, Lawson.
Jessica. Oh, Liam. Okay, yeah.
Liam Lawson, yeah.
Right. Liam comes from Manchester, apparently. No, I'm joking. Carry on.
I think we're going to see him in a Red Bull next year. I think that's pretty certain.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so, because that would be a wild prediction that I made early on. And they never come true, my predictions. So I feel I'm owed one.
So what's this that Red Bull are up to now as far as race
Go on,
wins?
Fabio. Say it, Fabio.
In a season. in a season.
I can see he wants to say something. I can see there's a reason.
No, not really. Not really. Yeah, carry on.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is it 15 wins we're up to now for Red Bull in the season? I think one more gets them the record for most wins in a season, which, as we've discussed before, in a season of 22 races, isn't really something you can compare to the older Formula One seasons. So it's an all-conquering Red Bull. Verstappen's now in the position that he can win the championship, the sprint race.
The sprint race in Qatar. Yeah, that's right.
He can win it there. He doesn't even have to compete in the main race itself.
Apparently, if Perez doesn't finish higher than 6th, which, let's face it, is not likely, then he wins almost automatically. So there we go. No, I think it's if he finishes 6th or higher, he wins automatically.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, up to now, the only reason to see the F1 is to see the battle for the second place in the Constructor Championship, which is quite interesting right now. I mean, Ferrari's there. Mercedes. The interesting thing is what I said before. Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren, it seems to me they all have got cars which works really well in certain situations, way more than Red Bull, from that point of view. So yeah, that is the thing which is quite interesting to watch. Other than that, it's just
Yeah.
bullshit right now. So.
Yeah, okay. It's another season where we're getting this runaway team as usual. And
Yeah.
if the drivers can't compete against each other in the top team, then there is no interest, right? That was the good thing about the
Don't,
Mercedes years. The FIA told them, "We don't want you to have team orders," and actually, they did it. They actually let their
talk.
drivers like fiercely race. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, talking about teams, I think that next year McLaren seems to be a really interesting team to watch.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah,
Especially because it seems to be, it seems to me that the technical direction is really on point. As much as they said when they showed up the car that car was shit and people should have been
yeah,
waiting for at least Silverstone, and they actually delivered kinda on that point. That the car made a huge leap ahead.
yeah, yeah,
So if the technical direction is so good, in that from that aspect, I think it might be an interesting car next year. As much as the other car which is really disappointing is the Aston Martin. It seems to
mm,
be that it's totally fucked. Uh, I
yeah.
mean, and it's not because of Alonso, or it's not
No,
because
no.
of the driver. It seems to be that the car is really bad.
Yeah, they
I
they
don't know
spent
if
all their
it's a
money.
lack of development. Yeah,
No, yeah, I think it is. I think they've run out of money to develop, and like
yeah.
from what I'm hearing, next year's cars there's going to be at least 5 teams running Red Bulls next year, effectively. So I think half the field are going to be pretty close to Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull are going to pull away again, one would think. McLaren, obviously, their comeback is due to the fact that they didn't spend money straight away. They waited for everything to settle down and find out what McLaren were doing, and then Red Bull were doing, and then copy the Red Bull, which is the way to go. Clearly, under these things, Lewis has come out and said, "Yeah, that's what he wants." He's gone to the factory this year to insist that they they build a Red Bull for next year. So yeah, it should be a
Yeah,
better year next year. That's all we can
yeah.
really say.
In a way, it's really disappointing that Red Bull had such a very good car because, again, if you don't take Red Bull into consideration, even this year, I've seen
Mm,
a lot of some, I think, interesting developments and change in the cars. Just forget about, well, when I say Red Bull, actually I mean Verstappen. If you forget about Verstappen, all the other teams seems to to have done something. It was way more interesting that the
mm.
than the points shows it to be. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, again, and also again, if you discount Max Verstappen or sorry, Max
yeah,
Paul Red Verstappen, if you
yeah,
discount that team, then actually the cost cap has worked, right? Because we early
yeah,
on in the year, all of the money spent on the Aston, right? Aston have spent an absolute fortune on getting that car together, not just building the behind the scenes stuff, but actually developing the car as well, because they had all of those new personnel to develop this car. So they spent a fortune developing the car early on and had the best car as a result, apart from the Red Bull. And the other cars have spent all of their money mid-season, right? When they found out what the car needed, right? And now they're catching up, right? And it actually
yeah.
is looking like it's going to be quite close towards the end of the year between McLaren, Aston, and Mercedes. Okay, it's a bit of a
Ferrari and
pity in some ways.
Mercedes.
Sorry, Ferrari, Mercedes, yeah. Although McLaren are coming from behind fast to catch Aston, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean. But it's a
Okay.
bit of a disappointment in some ways that Red Bull have kind of had this car to copy, right? Because if Red Bull were just in the mix with the other top teams, right, then it wouldn't be so clear that you need to just copy what Red Bull are doing, right? But because Max's car is a second ahead of everybody else, it is obvious that that car is the car you need to copy. So there you go. There you
No,
go.
you're right. And I mean, another interesting point is that it wasn't only a technical. So again, forget about Verstappen, but I think that this year we saw how much the pit wall and the old management behind it, it's really paramount in the success of a team or not. I'm thinking about the Alpine, for example. Ever since they sacked mid-season, their the
Mm.
team whatever. It seems to me that the car is doing a little bit better. Maybe it's the strategy, maybe it's the way that you manage the team, but it's I mean it is interesting. Again, it's way more interesting than the points
Driving.
show it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, it's back to this idea again, mainly because we've had the rule change, right? And this always happens after rule change. Back to how it was in the 80s, where every single year the cars technically improved to the point where you were it was like a different formula every year, and we haven't had that because we've been in this engine manufacturers kind of period, right? And now they've, like in the last 4 years, they've been restricting the amount of engine development you can do, mainly because of budget caps, etc. That it's become more of a formula again where aero development becomes king, and therefore there is more differentials between the cars. And that's quite exciting, as you say, because with the budget cap, that allows people to spend in different ways, which means, they're all going to be, and this is going to happen every year now under budget cap, as far as I can see, which is it's all going to come together towards the end of the year. All the teams are going to focus in on what is the best solution for those regulations that year. And some teams will, at the back, will decide to wait to spend their money, and some teams at the front will think they have the best car, like Red Bull, and will be spending it early. So that's always going to be a thing now for the near future, at least. Although I feel, again, that next year we're going to get a whole series of Red Bulls on the grid. And it's just who can copy the Red Bull is going to get closest to challenging them. And that's why I think next year, if they won't keep Perez, I'm almost convinced Perez is all bye Perez. Who said that? Look, I'm almost convinced Perez is not going to be there because Red Bull are going to have too many challengers, right? And they can't afford that. So they're going to want someone that doesn't want to beat Max Verstappen, has a very similar driving style, right? And will just do whatever he's told to do. And to me, that's Lawson all the way. But anyway, Lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky, what do you think? Let's get through this because we've got 10 more minutes. So I'd like to get on to the
Yes.
myth or quiz. Quiz or myth? Is it a myth?
Um,
Is it a quiz? Or a quiz or myth? Lucky, over to you.
I think,
Anything you want to say?
I think that if we do see Perez in a Red Bull next year, it's going to be by the skin of his teeth that he gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, Lawson's only done 3 races, and he's more impressive than Perez has been this year. One thing I was going to mention, you were talking about the season this year. It's been a very strange season. In the past, we always had like two teams at the front. It would be Ferrari and Red Bull, Mercedes Red Bull. In the past, McLaren and Williams. There was always two teams that were out in front of the rest. But in this year, it's not been like that. We've had flashes from some of the teams at some races, but there's never been a consistent challenger to Red Bull throughout the year. It's been such a strange Formula One year. I don't know. Never
Yeah,
remember
I agreed. That's
anything like
why
it.
that's why they haven't needed Perez.
Yeah,
And that is of course why Max Bull Verstappen.
Red Stephen,
Yeah, there you go, Max Bull Verstappen.
the one man team.
Yeah, well, and Adrian Newey, of course, in the middle there,
Yeah, well, indeed,
as
indeed.
always. I noticed Helmut is not in the picture either there, weirdly. Anyway, let's move on to the Mythal quiz. There's much more we could say, obviously, but we've probably already said it once, so what's the point?
Okay,
Over to you, Lucky. For the Mythal
all
quiz,
right.
quiz or myth, it's a myth and it's a quiz.
It's well, we're gonna have a quiz and some trivia, because I like disagreeing with you two. The
No, you're wrong
trivia,
about that.
the trivia this week. The trivia this week is going to be about the race with the most overtakes. Now, this is going to be there's two classes of races with the most overtakes. There is dry races and there is wet races. Now, we'll go with the wet races. What race do you think?
This is the myth. This is the myth, is it?
This is the myth stroke.
Okay. Yeah.
Story stroke. Whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting piece of information. But anyway, as I was saying, what wet race has the most overtakes on Formula One record?
Fabio,
And
do you want to
I'll
answer
give you a
first?
slight clue.
No,
I'll
we
give
don't
you
need clues because we know. Both of us know, I'm sure. Wet
I
race.
don't know.
There you go.
Hang on.
Most
I
Yeah.
mean,
overtakes an F1 wet
the-
race.
Yes.
the first one that pops to my mind. I don't know if it has got the most overtakes, but it might be Silverstone. What was that? 93.
Okay. I'm going to say Zandvoort 2023.
Fuck off! You've read this somewhere, obviously.
Oh yeah, because we've had it recently, and someone said, "Oh yeah, by the way, that's the most wet race overtakes because everybody dived in the pit." Look, I know my shit, Lucky. I know my shit. Okay. Anyway, but that's not the interesting one. The interesting one is the dry race with the most overtakes, and I think it's 2014, like Malaysia or something like that.
You're in the right part of the world,
Okay.
but slightly off in years as well.
Oh, is it? Okay, it might have been 2012 then. The one where they had the narrow wings.
No, you're heading in the wrong direction. It was actually 2016 Chinese Grand Prix.
China. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
And that
Let
was
me just have a look at the.
161 overtakes. By the way, the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix, the track where you can't overtake, according to you guys, was 186 overtakes in the race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, there was exceptional circumstances in that race, with the rain coming on and off and all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah, no, it was 2016 was the narrow wing era. Yeah, because they made loads of changes on downforce, if you remember, to allow the cars to drive behind each other. And one of those was raising the wing and making it much narrower, the rear wing, so the cars could follow. And they also got massive amounts of drag reduction by following a car as well. So, and they had DRS. So,
I mean,
anyway.
I can ask you what was the most painful overtake ever?
Most painful overtake ever.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I don't know what the criteria is there, but
Well,
which is it?
listen, the moment I tell you, you will agree with me. But the most painful overtake ever was the one that Timo Glock made in Brazil. And Felipe Massa. That was the most painful overtake ever. last
Oh my
lap,
God.
triple clock. Yeah.
And you think I'm salty about Abu Dhabi 21?
Well, I mean, well,
Okay.
the thing is that in Abu Dhabi, the two parties were actually involved. In that one, I mean, the guy already won for 20 seconds, and then the guy over two. That was, I mean,
Yeah, no,
if
I
it
agree.
doesn't,
Okay.
yeah, that would kill everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, should we get to the quiz then? Because otherwise we'll
does look
start
like
heading over.
it does look like Felipe Massa's going to have his day in court over this business. By the way,
Not
Yeah,
really, no.
yeah.
I mean,
well,
yes, he'll have his day in court, but nothing will happen. I mean, nothing can happen. He may get awarded some money, but that's about the most that'll happen.
sure.
Yeah.
It does look like it's going to end up in some sort of court of law at some point. Anyway,
The other painful part about this whole thing about Felipe Massa, and then we'll stop about it, is that Stefano Domenicali, if there is a trial, it will be on the opposite side. Why, when that happened, it was the technical director of Ferrari, so that would be really weird for him, to be there. So
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, yeah.
the thing I'm wondering is, would this not be a case of Felipe Massa versus the Bernie Eccleston empire, as opposed to what is now Liberty
no,
Media?
He's suing the F1. Yeah, he's suing the
Well, it's the
FIA. But
FIA.
the thing
It's
is
not even
that I
FIA.
don't think he has.
FIA's
Yeah,
going
I don't think he has a case because of the ruling in the FIA.
right.
So yeah.
Okay. Oh well, that will give the FIA something to think about at least. Okay, so
You're coming through really bad.
the
Okay.
quiz. Okay.
I think it's down your end, Fabio. Can
Okay,
you hear
yeah.
us?
Okay.
You good?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's
Okay.
move it on then. Nice, short, sharp, and snappy.
Okay, with the quiz scores at the moment, Fabio 12 and Simas 14. This week we're going to do something slightly different, have a question each for you guys. And I think we'll start with Fabio. And this week we're going to ask a Ferrari question. So, better get this one right. Dog wants to answer. He's looking to get in the quiz.
Yeah.
1995.
Did he find the
Was it-
World Cup?
I beg your
So
pardon.
what?
The World Cup, Football World Cup was found by Pickles, the dog. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Wrapped up in newspaper, wasn't it? Anyway,
Yeah, probably.
the 1995 Italian Grand Prix, Monza. The Ferraris were running 1-2. Jean Alesi up front, Gerhard Hartberger second. Berger retired. Why did he retire? What happened to Berger?
I can't remember. For the sake of me, I can't remember.
Have a guess anyway.
I mean, I really have no idea.
V12 era, was it? Let's try and narrow it down a little. So, it was the V12
No,
era.
yeah.
I have a feeling it might be tyres, Fabio. I mean, I'm not in it for the points, but I think it might be tyres. Something happened. The tyre delaminated or something, maybe.
Well,
I don't think.
you're kind of on the right track there, Simos. However, it wasn't tire related. It was a quite unusual event that put him out. And let's put it like this: it was his teammate that took him out, but it wasn't his teammate.
No, I really can't remember what happened.
Okay.
Oh, I see. You're saying something fell off the car.
Oh,
John Alesi's
Oh,
remember, Jean
well,
Alesi was
okay,
in front.
so I
Berger was
remember
behind.
I remember there was piece folded up from somebody and it in the helmet, but I don't think it was Berger. I
No,
think it
that
was
wasn't.
somebody else.
That was Massa.
Yeah.
Massa, I think.
Yeah,
You've
that was
got the
Massa
answer.
which
Barrichello.
got it.
No, it was
Yeah.
Barrichello. That was, yeah.
Yeah.
Came off Jensen Button's car.
Yeah.
And it hit the little guy. What's his name? Felipe Massa.
Barrichello, yeah.
No, Felipe Massa.
Was it Massa or was it
Yeah, he got
Barrichello?
he got the
I
nut
think
in the
it
nut.
was Massa, but yeah. But
Okay,
anyway,
okay.
it's not that one. So no, I don't know.
Okay, well, John Alesi, as I said, was ahead of Gerhard Berger.
Yes, you said that.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It might be if you say it like that, it might be a tear off, something like shit like that.
Oh.
But I really don't remember.
Oh yes, somebody's engine overheated because a tear off went in. That
Yeah.
could be it.
I think it wasn't the engine. I think it got in a brake duct or something like that. But yeah, that's as far as I'm going.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're back. No, we're back.
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, so as I was saying, Alesi was in front of Berger when the TV camera mounted on Alesi's Ferrari fell off. And of course, with Berger being behind it, the camera hit the front right suspension of Berger's car, putting him out pretty much immediately.
Wow, okay.
And
there you
I
go.
believe that Alesi actually retired after that as well, which was completely disappointing for the Tifosi after the high of a 1-2.
Totally.
So
Wow,
there we
yeah,
go.
yeah. That was a beautiful Ferrari as well, wasn't it? 95 Ferrari.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was a Bernard one, was it? Bernard Matthews,
Uh,
Kentucky guy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, but he didn't come till 90. No, sorry, he came in 87. He was 87. No, it'll be somebody after.
Yeah, maybe I'm
after
wrong.
him.
Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, I do remember Berger's and Alesi's Ferrari. It looked absolutely gorgeous. Really did. Anyway,
Well,
let's move on because we're already at 103 now. So
the two Ferraris going down bronze first and second is always a sight to behold. Let's be honest about it, especially when the crowds are on their feet.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Simos, your question. After our discussion earlier, I decided to change your question, but I think you'll find this is going to be easier than the one I was thinking.
I don't want an easy one. Go. Just stay on Williams because I'll never get a Williams question right.
Oh well, I fucking changed it now.
Oh well, do whatever you want. Go on, just do it. I don't want easy questions though. That's not
well,
fun.
this isn't an easy question. I said,
okay.
Relax. Trust me here.
Okay.
We're looking at Robert Kubica.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's good. I don't know fuck all about him. Yeah.
Okay. 2010 at Bahrain. In the first free practice, Kubica had to abandon his practice and return to the pits. Why did he have to abandon his practice and return to the pits?
Which race was it? Sorry, you said a race.
It was 2010 at Bahrain.
Bahrain. 2010 Bahrain.
And you've been driving a Renault at that time.
Uh, 2010 Bahrain. My God. Okay. 2010. So that was 2010. That's 2007. 2008 was Hamilton. 2009. I don't know who won that. 2009 was Button. 2010. Okay, so that's probably Alonso. Maybe, I don't know who won that year. Bahrain, which was probably at the end of the year. First practice is hot. He had to come back. He put the wrong tyres on, I think, maybe.
No. Think of the radio messages that went backwards and forwards. There was some famous radio messages.
Did the team say to Robert Biquet, Mercedes are invading our garage? Please come back in.
Well, that might have happened. that might have happened. However, that didn't force Kuka to pack it.
I don't know the answer. I do not know the answer.
I just want to point out to the general audience that Kubica is Polish. So yeah, I really hate to explain the joke, but it might have been flew over somebody's head. But yeah, carry on.
Okay. I don't know. He was
I'll give you a
hot.
clue.
Maybe it was the drink. Maybe it was his drink.
Oh, you're kind of getting on the right lines, but I'll give you a little clue. Okay.
Okay.
One of his mechanics would have got his arse kicked for this.
Oh, okay. Was it something like somebody went out with one of the aero covers or the duct covers covered, not removed?
No.
Okay, that's it. That's all I can get then. I don't know the answer.
Okay. One of the mechanics left their phone in the cockpit.
Left a phone. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Their phone in the cockpit.
I'd completely forgotten that.
The phone was rattling around, and Kuka said, "I've got a phone in my cockpit. Do you want me to just throw it overboard, or come back into the pits and hand it to you?" And the team thought better of the throwing it overboard, and got him to come back into the pits, and he handed the phone to whoever, and then went back out on his merry way to free practice again.
Funny thing was, the team member complained afterwards that he'd spent a fortune on a chat line. Yeah. So there we go. Anyway, okay. Thank you very much for that. So
no points this week, boys. No points this week. So il y a nil point. Like Logan Sargent. Nil point. Logan Sargent.
Yes, that was. Go ahead.
Sorry. The scores have been the same. It's 12 still to Fabio, and Simon still 2 ahead on 14.
Yeah, we gotta close because my phone is catching fire right now. So
okay, so we're going to end it there. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Sandy, for coming by. I really appreciate the likes. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for the quiz for Mythful quiz. Said with a lisp that time. We've got a new guy in to record that. So thank you. We're going to say like Perez. Bye bye, everybody. Okay, thank you.